In this video, I'm going to give you the best Cypher setup for every map that is currently in rotation in Valorant. The first map we have is Pearl, and you want to go to A site. You'll want to place your camera on this wall here, as it will see anyone pushing through art and also main. For the first trip, you want to place it against here.
Wow, this is a nice spot.
And the second trip in this exact spot here. These are the trips I've seen most people use, so I'm putting them in this video. With these trips, you'll want to place the cage here in order for you to sit backside and play backside. If someone hits a trip, you can spray through the wall and wallbang them, or pop the cage and play in the open. Now for Bside, you'll want to go to heaven and jump place your camera in CT in order to see people pushing through mid doors and also through long. For the first trip, you'll want to place it along main at feet level instead of body level. There's also this one way that I like to use. Walk against the middle of this wall here and aim for the exact point I do and then throw your cage.
Here.
This will give you a nice one way for people pushing into sight. For the next trip, just place it somewhere like here. And then you can just save your last cage or throw it somewhere where you want to play from.
Triggered.
Next up, we have Haven, and we'll start on Seaside. You'll want to jump onto platform and place your camera against this wall here in order to see people pushing through main and also into garage.
Here.
You can place your first trip here on main. Make sure people can't jump over or crouch under your trip. You can place both cages into the hole of the trumpet here, making it a nice one way. The final trip I usually put somewhere inside, or I'll just throw it in garage so we know if people are pushing through. Now you can just sit back and wait for someone to hit your trip.
Cage triggered.
Next we have A site, and I usually like to put a trip here on main to delay people pushing into the site. You could place the trip low, but I just usually go for the normal trip. For the next trip, you can just place it against this wall here and it goes along the whole site. Since I don't usually play A on Cypher, I just put the camera in a random spot that can see a lot of the site like here. For the cages, go into heaven, place both cages on the ledge, and then wait for people to hit your trip, and you can spray through the cage. You can also pop the cage and drop down to fight someone if they enter through sight. Finally, we have Bside. First, jump onto the box in the corner and place your camera above the door here. This will let you see people coming through main and also let you see into A-Link and some of C-Link. The first trip you want to place is in between the box here on site. Make sure to place a cage under the trip. The next trip you want to place it low across this wall here, and then just place a cage on it for if someone walks through. Now you can play A-Link and wait for someone to hit your trips.
Cage triggered.
Next we have A site on Ascent. First you want to crouch jump onto generator from rafters and jump place your camera on this wall here as high as you can get it.
Here.
You want to place your first trip here. Throw your cage under the trip. The next trip you want to place across generator like this. This will usually catch people who are trying to close the door. You can place your next cage on the part of site you're going to play from like here and just wait for people to walk in. Next we have Bside. Firstly, I like to place my camera here above switch. It covers mid and also shows you main. The first trip I put here along switch. I like this trip as if Jet or Raze try to satchel onto the switch to close the door, it will hit them. And I could just spray them through the wall if this happens. The next trip I place here is against this candy cane. You could also trip lane if the enemy Jet isn't dashing to switch. I like to place one cage stairs as this is where I'll usually play from, and another cage on the trip itself.
Cage triggered.
Next up we have Sunset on Bside. I like to place my camera on this wall here above the box. It can see all of main and site and also a little bit of garage. The first trip goes here on the bottom of this wall. Make sure the trip is as low as possible. And the second trip I'd place here. This trip will trip anyone that tries to go into the corner after being hit by the first trip. To make a one way, stand in this corner and aim for the same spot as me, as you can see my crosshair.
Here.
This will make a one way for main.
Cage triggered.
After that, I like to go play stairs and place my last trip there so I can play backside and wait for people to push in. For A side, I like to place a low trip here against the bottom of the wall. I'd then usually cage the top of this box and play inside the cage when people push out. The second trip can be placed diagonally here, also on main. This will leave elbow weak though, so only do this if 2 people are playing on the side. The camera can be placed high up on this wall to see main, elbow and CT.
Cage triggered.
Next, we have Bside on split. Drop from rafters and place the camera against backside wall while dropping down. The first trip you want to place is along main here. And the second trip you want to place is in the corner of this box and it will go across the site. You can throw a cage backside. And then for this main one way, come stand at the edge of this door and aim your crosshair at the dark part of this wall, and then throw your cage.
Here.
You can just copy my crosshair for exact placement. Now go backside and wait for someone to hit your trip.
Cage triggered.
For A site, you want to go heaven and jump place your camera on this wall here. It will allow you to see all of site and people pushing through main from spawn. The first trip can be placed in heaven for people pushing around, and then throw a cage under the trip. The next trip I'd usually place here along main for people pushing side. For a one way, line your crosshair up with this part of the wall from heaven and throw it.
Cage triggered.
Next we have Seaside on Lotus. I jump onto the ledge here and place my camera above main entry point. This will allow you to see all of site and also CT. The first trip you want to place will be deep into main, and then the second trip can be anywhere on site. I personally like to place mine here. As for the cages, I like to place them both here on this ledge, so I can sit in them when people push side. And it can also be used as a smoke to change position.
Cage triggered.
For Bside, I don't usually play here, but I'd place my camera here against this wall. For my first trip, I'd put it here so it hits anyone trying to plant default. And for my second trip, I just put it in main. As for my cages, I'll put them below the trip so I can pop them if someone gets caught in a trip.
Cage triggered.
Alternatively, you could place the cage here and play in it when someone gets caught by the trip. On A side, I like to place the Cypher cam in this tree here, as it's a pretty good place for it. My first trip will go against the tree branch here, and it will go across the wall. My second trip I like to place here to double trip main. Alternatively, you could trip in tree with any of these. And for my cages, I'll just throw them on whatever trips I'm going to be playing off.
Cage triggered. Cage triggered.
The final map is Icebox and we're on Bside. The first trip will be here against this box. It's sometimes hard to find. The next trip you'll want to put is on yellow against the corner of this wall. For the camera, you can either place it here to get the full view of sight, or you can place it slightly below, and this gives you less vision, but it's harder for them to spot. For a one way for yellow, stand in this corner here, and aim your Cypher cage icon and Cypher camera icon, and put them in the middle of this yellow bump in the box, and then throw your cage. This gives you a one way for yellow to pop when someone hits your trip.
Cage triggered.
Next, for A site, you want to take the rope and go into nest, and jump place your camera on this wall here as high as you can. This will give you vision over most of the site. There's multiple trip options for A site, so here are some of the best ones that I use. If you're playing backside, place a cage here and sit and wait. There's also a nice cage spot here that you can use.
Cage triggered.
That's the best Cypher setups for all the maps that are currently in rotation. Hope you guys found this useful, and I have a good video coming out soon once I finish editing it. Thanks for watching, make sure to like and subscribe.